Hello, this is Sherline of Kathanika. The story I have for you today is called Sonar Barsa. This is a folktale from Karnataka. In a small village in rural Karnataka, there once lived an old man called Bholu. Bholu lived with his wife Nimoo in a small house. Bholu was a simple man, a good man, but he was very, very lazy. The thing Bholu loved to do most was to sleep. Every day, when the sun was up and shining, Bholu moved his charpai from inside his house out to the courtyard under the shade of the mango tree. Bholu loved to lie on his charpai, put his hands below his head, admire the sky, the clouds, and fall asleep. When the sun set in the evening, Bholu moved his charpai from the courtyard into the house, put his hands below his head, stared at the tiled ceiling, and fell asleep. Nimoo, unlike Bholu, was short-tempered, kind of hard, and very hard-working. One day, at mid-morning, Bholu was in his usual place, lying sprawled on the charpai with his hands behind his head, admiring the sky from under the mango tree. Nimoo was very busy working. She brought out an old sari, opened it, gave it a shake, and spread it out in the courtyard. Bholu turned to watch her. Nimoo went into the house and came back with a vessel full of washed rice. She squatted down and began spreading the wet rice onto the sari. "Arey Nimoo, you work too hard," said Bholu. "Come, lie down next to me and let's admire the sky," he invited. "Lie down next to me, let's admire the sky," mocked Nimoo. "And who will work and feed us?" she snapped. Nimoo finished spreading the rice on the sari. She went into the house and returned with a bucket full of clothes. "Now look here, Bholu. I'm going to the river to wash clothes. I'm going to give you one work," said Nimoo. "What is it, Nimoo?" replied Bholu lazily. "You see the rice I have spread out to dry? I want you to keep an eye on it. See that no sparrows eat it." "That's it. Don't you worry. I will watch the rice," said Bholu. Nimoo went out the gate watching Bholu. "Watch the rice and don't go to sleep," she called. Yes, I won't," promised Bholu. Bholu turned his attention to the rice on the sari. Soon a sparrow came and sat down on the edge of the sari. The sparrow saw Bholu. Bholu saw Sparrow. The sparrow slowly hopped and came closer to the rice. The sparrow watched Bholu. Bholu watched the sparrow. The sparrow pecked and gulped a single grain of rice. The sparrow looked at Bholu. Bholu looked at the sparrow. "It's just one sparrow. Let him eat," thought Bholu to himself. Then another sparrow joined the first sparrow. Both sparrows began pecking at the grain. Bholu got bored of looking at the birds. "It's only a few birds," he thought. "How much can they eat? And even if they eat a few grains, how does it matter? We will still have plenty of grain left." Bholu turned his attention to the clouds and the patterns that were forming in the sky. A cool breeze was blowing, and it was nice and pleasant beneath the mango tree. Bholu fell asleep and began snoring. The two sparrows, meanwhile, were having a good time. Then another sparrow joined them, and another, and another, and another. Soon they were joined by all their friends, and little by little the flock of birds ate up all the rice and flew away. Bholu was sound asleep and snoring when Nimoo returned after half an hour. She got into the courtyard and gave out a cry. Deva! Bholu! Bholu! Bholu, who had been dreaming, woke up with a start. What? What? He jumped out of the charpai. Where is the rice? Demanded a fuming Nimoo. Where is the rice? Repeated Bholu, looking surprised. In front of him lay the sari out in the sun, but not a single grain of rice on it. Where is the rice? Inquired Bholu, astonished. The sparrows have eaten it, screamed Nimoo. Then she sat down with her head in her hands and began crying. Deva, I gave you one work to do, one work, and you could not even watch the rice. I'm sorry, Nimoo. What is the use of that? You will never learn. What a useless fellow you are, Deva, Deva, wailed Nimoo. Don't cry, Nimoo. I'll get you plenty of rice, said Bholu. You will get me plenty of rice? Really? Don't make me laugh, mocked Nimoo. Really? Really I will. I promise, said Bholu. How will you do that? Tell, questioned Nimoo. See, tomorrow I will catch the sparrows. Then I will take them to the bazaar and sell them. And with that money, I will buy you all the rice in the world, said Bholu. My husband talking of work, laughed Nimoo. I will. Wait and see, assured Bholu. The next day, Bholu woke up early. He had promised Nimoo and he resolved to make good his promise. Bholu purchased some bird lime from the market, and when Nimoo spread out some more rice to dry, he spread the bird lime over it. Then Bholu lay down on his charpai, put his hands below his head and fell asleep. Later that afternoon, Nimoo stepped out of the house and stopped. She saw a big flock of sparrows struggling to get out of the bird lime. Arey wah! My lazy husband has done it. Bholu! Bholu! Wake up! Look! Look! She called excited. What? What? Have the sparrows carried off the rice again? Exclaimed Bholu as he jumped out of the charpai. Then he saw the birds and smiled. Quick! Fetch me a basket. Let us collect the birds, he ordered. Nimoo got a basket and she and Bholu set about picking the birds and putting them in the basket. As they were putting the birds in the basket, one of the sparrows, who looked a little different from the others, began talking. Please, have mercy on us. Set us free. I will reward you. Bholu and Nimoo were shocked. Reward? What reward can you give us? Asked Nimoo. I am the king of sparrows. If you set us free and come to my house in the jungle tomorrow, I will give you a reward, said the king of sparrows. Bholu and Nimoo decided to trust the king of sparrows and they set all the birds free. Thank you. Come to the jungle tomorrow morning and I will see you there, called the king of sparrows as he flew away. Bholu, you must wake up early and go to the jungle to collect our reward, said Nimoo as they headed into the house. The next day, Bholu woke up at dawn. Bholu washed his face and got ready to go into the forest. Bring us something useful, said Nimoo. Yes, I will, said Bholu as he took up his walking stick and set out. And don't leave the gift anywhere on the way. No, I won't, said Bholu as he began walking towards the forest. And don't fall asleep, called out Nimoo. Don't worry, I won't, muttered Bholu. On the outskirts of the village lived Bholu and Nimoo's daughter. Bholu had to pass his daughter's house on the way to the forest. Bholu's daughter was surprised to see her father out on the street so early in the day. Appa, where are you going so early? Come in, come have some rice gruel, some rice kanji, she called. Not now, dear. I have some work to do. said Bholu importantly without stopping. My father, talking of work. Well, well, thought Bholu's daughter astonished. Bholu entered the forest. He kept walking, looking this way and that. I must ask for something useful as a reward. What can I ask? Thought Bholu. At that moment, Bholu saw a large herd of cattle. Ah, if I had just one nice cow, Bholu thought to himself. Why don't you ask our king for one? Said a tiny voice. Bholu looked up into the trees to see a sparrow talking to him. Does that herd belong to your king? Asked Bholu. Will he let me have one cow if I ask for it? Ask for Sonar Barsa, suggested the sparrow and flew off. Bholu was doubtful, but he repeated the name just so that he remembered it. Sonar Barsa, Sonar Barsa, Sonar Barsa, Sonar Barsa, chanted Bholu as he made his way deeper into the forest. Sonar Barsa, Sonar Barsa, Sonar Barsa, Sonar Barsa. Oof! Oh, it's so hot. It is noon and I'm tired. I wonder how much further I need to go, thought Bholu as he stepped beneath a large banyan tree to rest. No further, my friend, said a familiar voice. Welcome to our home, greeted the Sparrow King. Bholu looked up and was happy to see the Sparrow King. What reward would you like, my good man? Asked the Sparrow King. I want Sonar Barsa, said Bholu. Is that all? I will have her brought to you, said the Sparrow King. A short while later, a spotless white cow came to where Bholu was standing. Here, said the Sparrow King. This is Sonar Barsa. Sonar Barsa is no ordinary cow. Her dung turns to gold the moment it touches the ground. What? Exclaimed Bholu. Nimoo will not believe it. Then he brightened up. Nimoo will never have to work again. Thank you, O Sparrow King, said Bholu, and he began leading the cow, Sonar Barsa, homeward. Does her dung really turn to gold? Wondered Bholu. Curiosity got the better of him as Bholu led the cow. Bholu let Sonar Barsa eat some leaves. Then he began walking behind Sonar Barsa. Bholu knew that sooner or later the cow was bound to put out some dung. Bholu did not have to wait for long. Sonar Barsa the cow lifted her tail and pachak! A dollop of dung made its way to the ground and, wonder of wonders, the moment it touched the ground, it turned into solid, glittering gold. Bholu's eyes became as large as saucers. He ran ahead, bent down and picked up the gold cow dung. Bholu turned it over and over in his hands. Gold! This is real gold! He cried happily. The cow had wandered ahead. She lifted her tail and pachak! Another dollop of dung turned into gold the moment it touched the ground. Bholu ran and bent down, picked up that one too. Sonar Barsa kept dropping dollops of dung as she walked. Bholu kept running and collecting them. He carefully placed them in his shoulder cloth. Bholu was tired. He needed to rest. Bholu had reached his daughter's house by then. I'm so tired. I must rest. It's good I have reached my daughter's house. I will rest here, thought Bholu. Bholu's daughter saw her father and came running to meet him. Appa, you've returned. Do come in and rest a while, she invited. Yes, replied Bholu. And see, I have a wonderful cow. Bholu's daughter smiled. What's wonderful about it? Does it drop golden dung? She joked. Just then, Sonar Barsa lifted her tail and pachak! She dropped another of her magical dollop of dung, which promptly transformed to gold the minute it touched the ground. Bholu's daughter was dumbstruck. "See," said Bholu proudly. "Now do you see how valuable it is?" "And where did you get it, Appa?" asked Bholu's daughter. Bholu told his daughter all about the Sparrow King as he accompanied her into her home. Bholu's daughter was thinking, "What a wonderful cow! If I take this cow, Appa can go and get another one from the Sparrow King." So she thought out a plan. Aloud she said, "Appa, you seem so tired. You must have dinner with us." If there was something Bholu loved besides sleeping, it was food. "That will be really nice," he smiled. Bholu's daughter prepared Bholu's favorite dish, bisi bele bhat. Bholu was delighted. He was hungry too after the long journey. Bholu had a lovely dinner. His tummy full, Bholu began to feel drowsy. "Appa, why don't you spend the night with us? You can leave early in the morning," suggested Bholu's daughter. "I will do just that," yawned Bholu. He lay down and was soon asleep. That night, Bholu's daughter led Sonar Barsa the cow to her own cowshed and substituted her with an identical common cow of her own. The following morning, Bholu woke up early. He hastily dressed up and went to check on Sonar Barsa. "I'm leaving now, daughter," he called. "Here, take all this gold. It is too heavy for me to carry, and we will get some more from the cow every time the dung drops," he said generously and handed her the gold discs. "Thank you, Appa. You are too kind. Do come again," said Bholu's daughter as she watched him lead her cow away. Bholu walked quickly, dragging the bewildered cow with him. He did not want Sonar Barsa to drop any more dung. What if the neighbors saw? Before long, Bholu reached his home. Nimoo saw Bholu triumphantly leading a cow as if it was an elephant. "Deva, Deva, of all the things you could have asked the Sparrow King to give you, you asked for a cow!" cried Nimoo in disbelief. Bholu came close to Nimoo. "Arey, Nimoo, this is not an ordinary cow. Listen, this cow's dung turns to gold once it touches the earth. This is a very precious cow." "Really?" said Nimoo. "Really," said Bholu. "Come, let's feed the cow and you can see for yourself." So Bholu and Nimoo collected some green grass and fed the cow. Then Bholu and Nimoo went behind the cow and squatted some distance away and fixed their gaze on the cow's hindquarters. They watched patiently as Sonar Barsa swished her tail this way and that. Bholu and Nimoo didn't have to wait long. The cow soon gave out a loud prrr and pachak. A nice round dollop of dung emerged and fell to the ground with a splat. Nimoo looked at the cow dung and turned to Bholu. "This is your gold, you fool!" she yelled. "Arey, how did this happen?" said Bholu in astonishment. "I have seen the dung turn to gold with my very eyes." "Bholu, enough of your tall tales. Take the cow and go back at once to the Sparrow King. Demand an exchange and bring back something nice," commanded Nimoo, who was fuming with anger. Bholu thought it better to return to the forest than argue with Nimoo. Nimoo in a bad mood was not a nice person to deal with. Bholu took hold of the rope and led the cow towards the jungle. Bholu was quite surprised. "I wonder what happened. Why didn't the dung turn to gold?" he thought. Thus preoccupied, Bholu reached the tree where the Sparrow King lived. "Bholu, my friend, I see you are back. What's the matter?" asked the Sparrow King. "What's the matter? This cow Sonar Barsa has stopped working. That's what's the matter," said Bholu, annoyed. Stopped working? But how can that be? Replied the Sparrow King, astonished. Well, never mind, Bholu. Forgive me. I'm going to give you another gift, said the Sparrow King. See that clay pot and wooden spoon at the base of this tree? You can take those. Huh? An ordinary looking clay pot and wooden spoon? Hey, Sparrow King, Nimoo will throw me out of the house if I go back with those. We have pots and spoons at home already, said Bholu. Ah, but this is no ordinary clay pot and wooden spoon, Bholu. It is a magic pot. You keep the clay pot in front of you, you pour some water into it and stir the water with this spoon. The water will turn into anything you want to eat, said the Sparrow King. Anything I want to eat? Repeated Bholu with his eyes wide. That would be lovely. Dear Nimoo need not take the trouble of cooking then, he said, pleased. Bholu thanked Sparrow King and began his journey homewards. By the time Bholu reached his daughter's house, it had got quite dark. Bholu decided to spend the night at his daughter's home. Ah, Appa, you look tired. Let me cook something nice for you, offered Bholu's daughter. Oh, no, dear. You don't take the trouble. Allow me to cook for you this evening. Tell me, what would you like to eat? Offered Bholu, thinking it was a good time to test the pot. Bholu's daughter was astonished. Her father had never so much as cooked rice, and here he was offering to cook an entire meal. Never mind what I wish to eat. If you insist, Appa, let's have some simple dal and rice, she said. All right, can you bring me some water? Asked Bholu. Bholu's daughter was amused and got the water. Bholu ceremoniously poured the water into the pot. Then he took up the spoon and began stirring it. Water in the pot turned into dal and rice hot. Bholu's daughter could not believe her eyes when the water instantly turned into steaming dal and rice. Bholu happily offered it to his daughter. The father and daughter enjoyed a delicious meal. As they ate the food, Bholu's daughter thought to herself, "This is fabulous! A magic pot and spoon that can get whatever food I wish, anytime I want. It will be wonderful to have this pot." That night, as Bholu was fast asleep, Bholu's daughter tiptoed to where her father had kept the magic utensils and replaced them with identical ordinary ones. The next day, Bholu marched pompously into the courtyard with the pot and spoon safely tucked under his arm. And what have you got? Said Nimoo, curious. She saw the pot and spoon. Wait, don't tell me. The Sparrow King handed you a clay pot and spoon. Deva, what is wrong with this man? She wailed. Hurry, Nimoo. Wait, this is no ordinary pot and spoon. These are magic ones. Said Bholu elatedly, carefully laying down the utensils beside him. Doesn't look magical to me, mocked Nimoo. What do they do? That's the thing, Nimoo. This is a magic pot and spoon. You put water in the pot, stir it with the spoon, and tell the water in the pot whatever you wish to eat, and it will be yours to eat, smiled Bholu. Really? Said Nimoo in disbelief. She turned the pot round and round, examining it. Bholu stretched himself out on the charpai and put his arms under his head. Nimoo dear, why don't you try it and get us some nice biryani? He called. Nimoo fetched a tumbler of water. She poured it in the pot, took up the spoon and said, Water in the pot, get us some biryani hot. Nimoo heard the water swirling in the pot. She peered into the pot. There was no biryani as far as she could see. Nimoo gave the water a few more stirs and waited and waited and waited. Nothing happened. Meanwhile, Bholu was dreaming of delicious biryani. Nimoo, is it done? He called from the charpai. Serve it immediately. What are you waiting for? I'm terribly hungry, said Bholu. Nimoo was annoyed. She picked the pot and threw the water at Bholu. Splash! Bholu sat up with a jolt. What happened? He asked. Where is the biryani? That is what I would like to know too, said Nimoo. Where is the biryani? There is just plain water in the pot, and I've been stirring and stirring and stirring that water for hours, she fumed. Bholu, that Sparrow King has tricked you. Take this pot and spoon back and have it changed this minute, ordered Nimoo sternly. And listen, Bholu, if you bring some stupid cow or any useless pot with you this time, I shall make you sleep in the cowshed, yelled Nimoo after Bholu as he quickly made his way to the jungle one more time. Poor Bholu. He went back to the Sparrow King and told him all that had happened. Someone is playing tricks on you, Bholu, said the Sparrow King thoughtfully. But don't worry, I have just the thing for you. Look under that bush, Bholu. You will find a golden rope and a stick. Take those and go home. They should help you retrieve the other two gifts, promised the Sparrow King. Bholu set out for home. But it grew dark, and Bholu decided to go to his daughter's house instead. Bholu was tired by the time he reached his daughter's house. Bholu was exhausted of the latest things happening in his life. He had never had such excitement before. Bholu hurriedly ate the meal his daughter offered him and fell asleep. Bholu's daughter had noticed the golden rope and stick and wondered what magic they did. She was burning with curiosity, but she dared not ask her father for fear he might doubt her. While Bholu lay snoring fast asleep on the charpai, Bholu's daughter reached out for the golden rope and stick that was placed below it. The moment she touched the golden rope, it coiled around her. Bholu's daughter was astonished to find herself tied up. But more was to follow. The stick flew up into the air and came down on her head. Ta-dang! It went up, whirled round, and came down on her back. Tapak! Ouch! Yay! Appa! Appa! Called Bholu's daughter, as the stick flew up once again and prepared to come down on her. What is it? What is it? Asked Bholu, mumbling in his sleep. Just then, the stick gave Bholu's daughter yet another resounding whack. Chapak! Appa! 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 Call the stick off! Yelled Bholu's daughter. Bholu sat up, rubbing his eyes, and looked surprised at his daughter. Why have you coiled that rope around yourself? He asked, stunned. The stick in the meantime was hovering around, preparing to come down again. Appa, Appa, it's coming down again. Appa, call it off, call it off. I will return all the gifts I've stolen, wailed Bholu's daughter. The minute Bholu's daughter confessed to the theft, the rope came off and the stick fell to the ground. Bholu sat up a lot. He looked at his daughter in disbelief. The gifts? You mean, you took those? He stammered. I'm sorry, Appa. I've learnt my lesson. I will return the gifts, sobbed Bholu's daughter in shame. Bholu's daughter confessed to her deeds. She returned Sonar Barsa the cow and the magic pot with the spoon. Bholu went back home with all the gifts. Nimoo was waiting at the door. What? You've come back with the cow again? Yelled Nimoo. Bholu smiled. Nimoo, this is not an ordinary cow. It is... I know. Its dung turns to gold the minute it touches the ground, continued Nimoo mockingly. At that very moment, the cow gave a loud purr and pach. Nimmo's jaw dropped as she saw the dollop of dung change into gold the minute it touched the ground. Bholu, in the meanwhile, had asked the magic pot to get some lovely biryani, and he led a stunned Nimmo into the hut to enjoy a quiet meal. Nimmo was finally pleased with her husband Bholu and never taunted him again. And that, my dear friends, is the story of Sonar Barsa. I hope you liked it. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and share this story with your friends. Bye-bye.